Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Dan Cordolicchio. Want to welcome you to another segment of Destination Health Podcast, Finding Function in a Dysfunctional World. We have local flavor on today. We got a local Jersey girl, and this is a great story, and I'm very excited about the story. We're going to have Brianne Lauren today. Brianne, how are you today?
Oh, I'm just doing great.
Awesome. I think that between the both of us, there's going to be a lot of energy. But Brianne and I were talking a couple of weeks ago, and I just kind of looked at her and I said, I think you got to come onto the podcast because there's this story here. And you're a local Jersey girl from North Jersey, by the way. So I'm from North Jersey, too. So this is a podcast made in heaven. So let's talk about Brianne. She was born to do fitness and health, always been a major part of her life. And yet she had a lot of unhealthy times. What's that all about, Bri? Through elementary, middle school, high school, you played a lot of sports, but then you kind of settled in on dance, competitive dance, school here in New Jersey, going into New York City. You won a lot of awards, but then it happened. You got the dancer's body and you were skinny. And it says right here, 80 pounds at 5'6" tall. That's not healthy at all. Complications with menstrual cycles can happen. Her parents realized this, and her parents wanted to send her away to get her better. Oh, we're going to go there. I think that's our first question. So, but then you were like, no, I don't want to do this. Let's try this at home. Let's see what we can do. And then your parents were very supportive of you, and they were able to help you out. You went to Monmouth. This is probably why you live in Monmouth County with me. I went to Rutgers in Newark, so I don't know how. I like the beach. That's why. And so you went to Monmouth, and to de-stress, you started running because you're like the runner girl right now. You just run all over the place. You're running from here. You got the kids like this, and you're running all over the place. You run 5K races. You won your first race. Now you're doing half marathons. The next thing is a triathlete, I think. That's what I think you're going to do. But anyway, Bri, welcome to the program. So tell me, did you have an eating disorder?
Yes. And so, but during the time, you don't realize it. You don't know it. You don't see it. It's just, you think you're healthy, you're active, you're in sports, you're dancing, you think health is just, an exercise part of it, the exercise aspect of it. And then you don't realize there's a whole other side. It goes hand in hand with the food that you're eating. And you need those foods to actually then perform your best in your sports or in your activity or whatever you are doing. So yeah, it was a major eating disorder.
What did you have? What eating disorder?
I was going to say it was of anorexia. So
you were, so you became anorexic when you were in the dancing world because, you're a dancer and, you have to have a certain body type. And if you don't maintain that body type, they kind of overlook you. You have to, fit the part, and you got to purge, right? Because if you have the couple extra pounds, maybe someplace off Broadway or Broadway is not going to look at you. And being a Jersey girl from Bergen County, it's just like a hop. You could just jump and you're in Midtown and you're like, all right, I want to dance professionally now. Yeah. Who was the first one who recognized that you had this eating disorder?
Definitely my mom.
Your mom. What did she say to you?
She came on slowly about it. She was like, I'm not really sure you're eating enough. Do you have enough? Do you feel low in energy? She was just asking about like my feelings, and how I felt throughout the day. It's not like I napped or I didn't do anything. I didn't really show it. So she was just like, well, if you're going to go to dance practice, you should probably have a little something to eat beforehand, like whatever it might be. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna, my stomach will bother me. Like, I'm gonna go, I'll eat after practice. And then I still never ate after practice. After practice, my excuse was, I'm really tired. It's late now. I'm just gonna go to bed.
So this was a conscious thought. You said to yourself, I'm not going to eat. I'm a dancer and I want to go. Listen, where I grew up in Essex County, I was like 12 miles from Midtown. You were probably 4 miles, depending upon where you were in Bergen, right?
Yeah.
And you could just
Super
take
quick.
that bus right there on Main Street in Hackensack, and
Yep.
you're there in 2 minutes, right?
Right in the city.
Right into the city. It's like right
Yeah.
there. I used to work in Hackensack on Main Street. You look east, and there was New York City. So
Yeah.
so what was your mindset during this time? What was going through your mind? I mean, you were oblivious to what was going on. Clearly, you were
Totally.
goal orientated as a young
Mhm.
girl, right? And you had goals, and you wanted to complete those goals. And you
Correct.
probably wanted to dance in New York City, right? That was your
I
thing, right?
I
Sure,
did.
of course.
So I always wanted to be a rockette. So even though I'm 5'6" and the height requirement was 5'7",
Mhm,
I didn't let it stop me. I was
mhm.
like, I could still be a rockette. I could still, like, I got this. So I would go in. That's why I would train in New York City. And it was just my mindset at the time was just that, like, it's if you see the rockettes on stage, and if you it came into dancers performing, and even if you're behind the camera or whatever it might be, it's always that, like, oh well, the camera puts on 10 more pounds. I just remember hearing that, like, everywhere. All the
Mhm.
girls would talk about it, even the guys that dance would talk about it, like, oh well, when you're up on stage or behind the camera, that it makes you look 10 pounds heavier. So that's almost where this whole stigma, like, that with the dancers, and, like, not only did you want to be, like, thinner, like,
Mhm.
not even thinner, because to us it didn't, like, to me it wasn't that thinner. I thought that was healthy. Like,
Mhm.
you want it to then be a little more under, because you knew the
Mhm.
camera was going to be putting 10 more pounds
Sure.
on. And that was always what people talked about all the time. And that's
Mhm.
just what I remember. That was, like, what stuck in my mind first, where I'm like,
Right.
oh, okay, I have to make sure I'm 10 pounds under,
Yeah.
because I'm going to look bigger.
You're going to
Like,
look bigger, and you want to look the part.
yeah.
When you're talking, my mind is going for comments. My mind is over here with more questions. The first comment is, listen, you're quintessential North Jersey swagger, right? It's like, oh, what do you mean? So I'm a half an inch smaller than what I should be, and I'm
Yep.
not going to get the part? Really now? Oh, let me tell you how I'm going to be the main rockette, right?
Right.
I'm going to be the rockette of all rockettes, right? Because that's what goes through your mind. I see that.
Totally.
So what was it like emotionally, not even physically, what was it like emotionally to be 5'6", 80 pounds? That's light, right? What was that like
You
for you
don't,
mentally and emotionally?
you see yourself as normal. Like,
Really?
you see yourself as, I look great. I look
Mhm.
amazing. And that's how, like, I saw myself. I'm like, I look amazing. Like, what is my mom telling me? Maybe she doesn't know if I'm eating enough. And she's a straight Italian woman who cooks all the time. So,
What's
like,
her
friends
favorite
would never
dish?
leave my house without eating.
What's her best dish?
Her best dish is probably her pasta salad.
All
She
right.
makes fresh, homemade pasta salad with all the vegetables in it and all
Tell
the
your
fresh
mom I'm down
herbs.
next week. Or is she down
Yeah.
next week?
Yes. Yep.
Oh,
You
tell
could come
mom I'm
right
coming
over.
over for dinner. I'll bring the homemade bread. We'll have a little
Right.
something outside. I bring my
Ah,
son-in-law. Oh yeah, it'll be great. Okay,
let's
there you
go.
go. You
Let's
guys
go.
stay
She'll
the
come right
extra
over.
week. You guys stay the extra week. We'll have fun. Anyway,
We'll see
we'll go to Fantasy Island. We'll throw the
Yeah.
kids. Well, my son's 14. He doesn't like that anymore. But he'll babysit your kids. He likes doing that.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So
I'm in.
so so
So
you're
it was
thinking you're normal. You're looking at yourself in the
totally
mirror, and
normal.
you're saying there's nothing wrong with me.
Nope. Nothing wrong. I was, like, getting angry that, like, for instance, that my mom was even saying something to me. I'm like, why are you saying this to
Yeah,
me? Like,
mom, you don't
I'm
know what you're
normal.
talking about. You're a teenager.
No idea.
You're selling
Yeah,
your oats anyway.
it's also during teenage years. So you hit, like, the worst of the the worst years to do all this. I'm like, no, I'm great. Like, what are you talking about? Like, everything's fine. And it doesn't even dawn on you, even when like size 0, children's size, you're in high school, but you're in 0 children's sizes and it's still falling off of you. It still does not even hit
So
you.
did you lose your menstrual cycle and all of that stuff? Did you?
Yes.
You
I just never got it.
You just
I
never got it. Because now
No,
the ramifications are 10 years later, 20 years later, 15 years. I meet somebody, I fall in love, and now can I have children with this stuff? Because you got to be really, really careful with that. That's called the triad. That's the female triad, right? Where
correct.
you know, if you don't take care of yourself, and I deal with a lot of figure pros as clients, and that's a big concern at one point in time that we have to address. So take us back to that moment in time where you just sat there and you said, Bree, there's something's not right here. It ain't right, right? Something is not right. Well, we're from North Jersey. It just ain't right. What was that moment? Did you cry? Did you come about and you're like, oh my goodness, this is just horrible. I can't do this. This is not me. Tell us about that moment.
So I had gotten, my parents both had tried to talk to me multiple times after this. Like, it was talk after talk after talk. And I'm just like, I'm fine. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And I kept losing weight and losing weight and losing weight. And so like I was in the 80s, but I did get down to in the 70-pound range. At that point, my dance teacher and all of them were like, she's going to pass out on stage. Like we don't even, so they had this talk with my parents, but without me knowing. And then that's when my mom and my dad were both like, okay, we got to do something and it's got to be done now. And we've tried talking and that's not working. So coming from a hardcore Italian woman, she's not going to beat around the bush. She's going to go straight for the jugular, as she always says. And she's like, that's it.
She had the wooden spoon out.
She got the spoon out.
She got the spoon. She's got her slipper that goes 2 miles down the street.
You know it.
Right there on Main Street in Hackensack. Boom, and hits you right in front of the Sears building right there.
Yes, right there. Bam. So she got that out, and
people are like, what are you guys talking about? Main Street, Hackensack, Sears. Don't worry about it. It's inside joke stuff. Don't worry.
I know it. I know.
Mentos Deli right down there. Great Italian. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
She wouldn't actually hit me with the spoon because she would have broken me. So she just held it in the air, shaking it, you know? Now I could joke about that. But yeah, she just.
It was no joking matter back then, right?
No, like back then I did not get it. I didn't understand until when they had sat me down and like I saw, and like, yes, the tiredness was kicking in and I was now like exhausted all the time. And it was really taking a toll on my body. And not only like your menstrual cycle, but like also like your heart, like I know my mom kept saying something about my heart and I wasn't understanding all of this and like just everything. But there were periods when I was in practice and I was dizzy and but I would just still come up with an excuse for it. So when they had actually sat me down after dance practice one day and I was like sitting there in my basement, or it was like a family room area. And I just, when they're like, oh, we just need to talk to you. I'm like, oh, here's another one of those talks. Like, I'm fine. You're just shutting it down. That I didn't know, but my parents obviously knew they were doing the right thing when I want to shut the conversation down before it was even discussed. So that was, then they knew as hard as this was, they were doing the right thing because I was still want nothing to do with it. But they sat me down and when you just get this sense, like my heart started racing and I was just like, I started getting clammy and I was like shaking a little bit.
You're like, oh, snap. Something's not right.
Snap. Like, this isn't just their regular like talk. Like this is going to be something serious.
Yeah.
And then I kind of looked over and saw like bags packed. And I remember just being like, oh my God. Oh, whoa. wait a
Yeah.
minute, where am I going? What are you doing to me? And then when the conversation had started, it was, we know, we love you. We really care about you. And we can't watch our daughter slowly kill herself from the inside out.
Yeah.
That was what it said. And I was just like, I just stood there.
Did
well,
you
I just sat
finally
there.
realize that this wasn't healthy and that you were killing yourself from the inside out? Is that
Yes.
when you
Yes.
realized?
And
Right.
so what happens is my mom and I have always like, we're very close, but we're also the same person. So when we
So
have
you're arguing all the time.
yes.
Hmm.
So my father and I are a little bit more, not as much alike, but my dad was also a huge athlete. He played sports in college. He was a track star. He still went to Paramus Catholic. He's on the wall in Paramus Catholic. He's in the Hall of Fame. So this time in the conversation, my mom did less talking and my dad did more talking.
So you knew that this was not this wasn't the Italian mom being an
No.
Italian mom. This was now
Correct.
something that was serious because
Serious.
dad, who may be quiet, is like, honey, love you, but no.
Yes.
Where were
And
they going to send you?
it was going to be in a rehab place in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania.
Ooh.
We're not in, just outside of Philadelphia. So it was like a hardcore, you go away for 6 weeks.
Oh, wow. How old were you at this point in time?
I was and finishing up my sophomore year of high
Oh,
school.
wow. So are you doing this in the summer or during the school year? School
During
year.
the school year.
Oh,
During the school year.
you're not finishing your sophomore year.
Nope.
You're doing it all over again, honey.
All over.
That's what mom and dad are saying, honey, you're doing this all over again. This
Yeah.
is not. So what did
Exactly.
you do to get better? How did you get better?
Well, so part of it was also those teenage years of being so stubborn, being like a stubborn child, thinking you know everything, thinking you're going to be an adult now. Like I was about to get my license in a couple months because I'm a December birthday. So I'm like the beginning of your, junior year. I was going to be one of the first to get my license. I'm in the beginning of the year. I just all of a sudden I let like my guard down because I realized I was about to lose everything. Like
Yeah.
I would be pulled from dance. I would probably not be getting my license in December. All of the freedom that I was about to grab hold of and have was about to be gone. So I just like all of a sudden I stopped being stubborn and I was just like, okay, I'm willing to listen. Like
Yeah,
if I'm
thank
like,
goodness that you were able to have that maturity level because,
yeah,
teenage years sometimes is a little bit difficult. And,
it's difficult.
if parents are listening to this with their teenagers, which we recommend that you do, it's
Right.
important to have an open line of communication, no matter how obstinate a teenager
Correct.
may be. My son is obstinate right now. He's 14.
Yeah.
He's got all the self-confidence and cockiness that you need. I'm always there and I just let him fall and I look at him and I pick him up and I say, I know you told me so. And I say, I didn't say that, but I did say to you this, this, and this, but you had to learn your own lesson at some point in time. That's just the way it goes.
This was kind of what they felt like at this point. They tried talking to me and it was either they were going to find me on the floor one day or I wasn't going to wake up from a sleep. So it was either that or kick me out the door. And as hard as it might be, send me for help. Like, like it's hard. You had to outweigh your options there. And I remember so the severity of knowing of them almost telling me, this is what clicked into me. And my mom crying and she's like, I'm not going to open my daughter's bedroom door and find her dead.
Right.
Like it was to the point where I was going downhill so far that they were like, you're going to kill yourself. And we are not going to be the ones. We cannot let that happen. So even if we lose relationship with you, we lose everything with you.
Right.
At least
Right. Well, we can perhaps, we'll repair it.
Yes.
Later on, we can do that in 2 to 3 years, but you need,
well, we want you to be here in 2 to 3 years. So we have to do this first. And it wasn't until they turned it into that they didn't want to find me dead. That was what really made me
That's what
bring
really
down my
was,
stubbornness.
that's how bad it got.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
where did you
Yeah.
get the energy and the intestinal fortitude to change? Where'd that come from?
I didn't want to, it was almost like you were threatened to be, I couldn't imagine myself going away to like a rehab place or like
Yeah.
leaving my parents. I have a younger
Yeah, here
brother.
you
I'm a
are living
dog.
in northern New Jersey, you're in Bergen County, life
Yeah,
is
no.
good, you're
Yeah.
dancing, you're going
And
into the city. Mom and
I
dad
still
are
wanted
tag
to dance.
teaming, taking, right,
Like I still wanted,
so
I didn't want to lose my friends. I wanted to still dance and I still had goals of doing that. But it was, I didn't want to lose all of that. And it was like, all right, stop being stubborn.
mhm.
Like clearly your parents know what's best for you. Like my mom and my dad, we're a very close family. So clearly they know what's going to be best for me and just listen, like listen to what's going on. My mom has the health aspect, like the nutrition aspect of it. She cooks everything from scratch. Like she's a tiny woman and she power walks. That's it. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, clearly my mom knows
Does your
proper
mom make
nutrition.
homemade Monaco?
Yes. And she makes, oh my God, it is the best. Always on Sundays. And that's usually like more towards our like winter. We're like, we'll do homemade managot, we'll do homemade gnocchi, everything. She flours the counters and rolls it up. Oh, so good.
I'm expecting the invite now
You're in.
at
You are
some point
in.
in time, right?
You're in.
We don't go to Chowder Fest in October. We
Oh yeah.
go, we go, that's touristy stuff. We don't do that.
Right.
We're gonna go get some homemade Monaco. Anyway,
Yes. So I
anyway.
just knew I had the best of both worlds. I had my dad, who's very good athlete and still knows all the gym and exercising aspect of it and how to build strength and build muscle. And then I had my mom on the other hand, who was like a nutrition, healthy cooking, like fanatic. So I'm like, why would I give up everything when like I have this right here? I just needed to stop being stubborn. It was me that had to just listen and learn to listen. But I mean, high school,
Yeah,
teenager.
you're ready to do that. So your mother helped you out with nutrition and your dad helped you
Yep.
out with working out. And so they decided, no, they're not going to do this, but it was their way or the highway. That's usually
Right.
what, an Italian mother is going to say.
Exactly.
Or, you're underneath my roof, you either do it my way or you're out. That's just the way it is,
Correct.
right? That's just
I
the way.
had to, I had no chances. If there was one time I did not listen, like one time I did not do what I was like told to do, or like followed what they had for me, it was done. Like the bag was like staying packed by the door so I could just walk right out.
Yeah,
No,
there was no room for error at that point.
zero room.
So the same quintessential Jersey girl swagger that you had, that you were going to New York City and I'm an inch shorter, but watch me and watch all the people at the Rockettes, they're just going to bow down in front of me. You use that same mentality to sit there and say, hey, listen, let me just pivot a little bit, right?
Right.
How hard
Yep.
was it for you?
It was hard. It
What
was
was
hard.
your
It was,
most difficult times in your darkest moments when you thought that this just wasn't going to work and I just might as well go for this 6-week thing? I'll see my friends in a year.
I think the hardest part for me was that I knew I could not tell my mother no when she gave me food to eat or when she gave me everything. It's just when you starved yourself for that long, when you do get back to eating, I would just try and make her understand. And really, honestly, when I was saying it, wasn't coming from that I didn't want to eat. Your stomach you've shrunk your stomach so much that like the hardest part for me was to eat. Sometimes I'd be like, Mom, I'm really full. Can I just take like an hour break? But to her, it was no. Like, I don't care what happens. Like, no. So my hardest parts was like getting frustrated and knowing that, yes, I'm on this road to recovery, but my parents did not trust me to listen to how I felt on the road to recovery. So I
Right.
had to I felt at times that like I wasn't being heard, and like they didn't, but they had all right not to trust me. I mean, I was trying to recover, but I got so frustrated if I would be like, "Ah, I'm so full right now. My stomach is killing me."
Right.
That did happen,
Yeah.
but I felt like
Did
I
you feel
couldn't
like
express it.
purging at that point? It's full. I'm not used to this. This is something that's not
Yeah,
good.
I didn't feel like purging, but it would get like gas bloated, like
Yeah.
bubble almost. And I just
You
felt like,
were overeating. They're giving you calories at that point.
yeah. And I just felt like I couldn't express my opinion because I was afraid that they were going to think I was not listening and I was going to be out. So there were so many days I would just get into bed and just sometimes I would just cry it out in bed just so they wouldn't see me. And I I didn't want them to think I wasn't on the road to recovery because I did trust that they had no trust in me after how
Mhm.
hard they worked. It was
How tough was that not to have your parents have trust in you, especially with an Italian mom? That's
it
very
was
good. Yeah.
it was really tough. It
Yeah.
was you just felt like you had no control over anything that was going on.
Mhm.
And I mean, they fought for over a year to try and get me to realize what was wrong. So I also knew that they had all right to have no trust in me.
Mhm.
And that was hard. But
So
at the
you were
end of the day,
cognizant of that. That was something that you said,
yeah,
"Oh, you know what? They really do have
they
this
really,
whole this whole
yeah.
thing."
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, I was mad at myself. Like I understood why my parents didn't have trust in me. And
Mhm.
now I've put myself in this situation. So I just need to keep my mouth shut and build my trust back up with my parents. Unfortunately, I had no room to say anything. And that was almost like I knew the punishment to myself. So it was fighting that punishment of losing trust in my parents
Right.
while trying to recover at the same time. And that was very hard.
Yeah,
But
this is something akin to, we had, DEA come into my town, and they were talking about when the heroin epidemic hit, and
oh yeah.
there was that moment of truth when you were at a party, and the agent said to all the parents that no matter how tough it gets with your children,
Mhm.
you need to have an open line of communications and you need to have a great relationship because those that said no to this were the ones that didn't want to disappoint mom and dad.
Yeah.
So not wanting to disappoint mom and dad is a very motivating factor when you are home team and you have that close knit
Yeah.
bond situation, which is extremely important.
It's very important. And I had already known, and I was fighting that too, because I knew I had disappointed them and the struggle they went through to
Mhm.
try with me and to just,
Right.
just get me to realize it. And it's crazy once I realize it, how much I didn't like. I can't even look back. There are pictures of me from back then, and I cannot even look
Do you
at
have
them.
anyone close? Do you have one close?
I don't have one close. It was I don't have one close. I mean, I could definitely find one.
Find one and
Um,
send it to me.
yeah, it was like
I'm gonna do a
hip
before I'm
bone,
gonna do a
like
comparison, because I can't say before and after on social media, they don't like that, so it's just gonna be a
right.
comparison.
No, I'll give
Here's
you a
Brianne,
comparison.
that's it.
I could find it. Yeah, I don't even have like the real hardcore ones, but I have some pretty good ones that are like whoa. And it
So
was
now
like
you're starting to slowly get better. Did you feel your confidence, not that you didn't have confidence, but
right.
your mom and dad broke you down into a nub, now they start building you up. They start building you up layer
Yeah.
by layer, right? So
Yeah.
at the darkest moment, you don't have that confidence, right? You're just sitting there in your bed, you're crying
Right.
it out, like you said. And now you started to change and you started to build your confidence. What was that confidence like?
It was it was more like I felt I started feeling better about myself. Like
Sure.
I had more energy. I started seeing my performance in dance practice, in my dance competitions.
Hmm.
I was scoring better. I was it was more or less my confidence was building because my performance was building. So I'm like, wow, I could really be like better than what I even thought I was. Like I thought I was like at my best, but I could
Liberating, right?
yeah, just from not even putting in more practice time, not even trying harder in dance, just getting my health under control and all of that under control. Like it was just coming naturally. And not only that, but then when when you are dancing, you are on stage, you're the way you appear and your the glow you have to you and like in the smile, like it comes out of, it all comes out of you. And like everyone had mentioned to me, people who didn't, no one really knew what I was going through. Everyone knew I had an issue, but no one knew that I was like working with my parents to get back at it. I wanted to keep it between us.
Were you seeing a therapist in the area at that point in time?
No. It was
So
literally
it was just mom and dad.
Just mom and dad.
Kudos to mom and dad.
Which is rare. My mom did ask me to go see a therapist. I was just so, this is the one time my parents they listened to how I felt. And I was like, I don't want to go see someone. I'm so embarrassed by how I got to this point. And I would rather work with my parents first. And then if after a certain, give me some time. And when that time ends, if you still think I need to go see someone, if I didn't perform well enough, then I'll agree to go see someone.
That's fair. Give me a couple of few months. And if I don't meet these benchmarks in life, then we'll take it to the next level. Right.
That's the one thing I asked for. And because I was thrown off guard into how normal and healthy I thought I looked. And I had no idea.
You were in a world. You were in your own world. We all do that when we're growing up. We're in our own world and you just don't know, what you should be doing. This is just what I'm doing because I'm a dancer. This is what dancers do.
That's what dancers are supposed to do.
And you're just doing your thing because you're just goal orientated. So it sounds like your family is very mentally strong and very tight knit. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes. We are a very tight knit family. We've had family game nights. We always are there. As my mom always says, we are family. We are here for each other through good, through bad. I mean, that's not to say, don't worry, we have had our family fights. My mom and I have gone at it. My dad and I have gone at it. My brother and I have gone at it.
Normal stuff.
But at the end of the day, yeah. So I'm not saying that like we don't fight, we don't do this. No, we have battles. But at the end of the day, we could battle. We'll all take a breather. We'll come back together and be like, okay, let's talk about this. Like at the end of the day, there's that connection. There's love between us. We are a bond and we are here for each other no matter what we need.
No matter what happens, you guys.
No matter what happens,
you guys were a strong unit. How long did it take you to get out of this doldrums? What was it that you just looked at yourself and you said you went like this and you were like, I'm back, baby. Yeah.
So it was, it took a solid year to even get back. Cause now do remember my mom, and I'm glad my mom and dad did know it wasn't just going to happen like that overnight. Like you weren't just going to be like, boom, you had to do it slowly because of all the damage that I had done to myself. You did have to work slowly. And it was about probably when I was going off to college, to be honest. It was about the second half of my high school years were this whole recovery process, but I was still involved in everything. I never had to remove myself. I was like striving. And because of it, right when I went off to college, I was like Montclair State was recruiting me for dance. And I kind of just looked at my parents and it was halfway through my senior year. And I was just like, I don't want to dance anymore. It burnt me out.
The trials and tribulations just.
Yeah. You know what it is? I was going to be going off to college. I wasn't going to have my parents buy me, which is fine. But I didn't want I was going to be on my own now. I didn't want to get sucked into that dancer mentality again and
Did you have
not
that
being,
fear that you were going to go back, going
I did.
away? I mean, Bergen and Essex are relatively close. Maybe you're living there, maybe you're not living there. It
Right.
depends, right?
Yeah, it was a fear because it came on so quickly and I had no idea
Mhm.
like how oblivious I was to how I was treating myself and how much
Mhm.
I was not eating. And
Mhm.
I don't even know how I functioned, but I did have a fear that I was going to go back because it's still like it still was too new in my mind to ever to trust myself
Mhm.
again on my own without like my parents by my side to catch me if I was about to start falling backwards. And I didn't want to fall backwards because I knew my health at that point. I
Do
don't
you
know
still
how much
have that fear of
no,
falling?
no,
No, that's gone.
it's completely gone.
Yeah, you have your own kids, so
Yeah.
there's no.
I will say it was gone. It didn't really I think my decision to not dance and to just focus on me is what helped is the path I needed to go like during college. And
Right.
doing sports your whole life, which is great. I wasn't majoring in sports. I wasn't going to go professional athlete at this point. There had been so much that had happened. I just wanted to focus on building myself and like I wanted to become a teacher. I saw myself having kids in the future and a family. So
Right.
that
So
was
your
where
goals
I went.
changed. Your goals changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the parents that are listening today, I think what happens too is that you push your children, and it's okay. It's not bad,
Yeah.
and it's not good too. You got to be careful the
Right.
way that it's that you do it. And so, my son and I used to push him, and then I backed off, and playing hockey and so forth and so on. I'm at a point now where I say to him, "What do you want to do today? Because I gotta, my schedule. I got patients.
Right.
I got to go to this office. You're going in the morning to the gym, or you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do the other thing." And
Right.
so, you know, he's at a point where he's making his own decisions now with that, which I think is good. But I'm there,
Oh,
not a helicopter, but I'm there as a guide, right? I'm
yeah.
there as a father. That's the way it sounds like your dad and your mom have been, and you have to be there. And for the parents listening today, and I said this to the VP at the bank. I was at the bank a couple of weeks ago, and I was doing a little business, and son
Yeah.
plays basketball, and he was telling, oh, it was just bad. It was just bad. He was telling me how he yells and screams at his son. And I said to him, don't do that.
Mm-mm.
I said, let me give you something that I've learned. All right. And I just came up with this. I'm not a genius, and I'm sure other parents do this.
Right. It's through
Well, at
your
least
own.
in my mind, I'm a genius. I don't know anybody else's mind. So I say to my son now, listen, what are the three things you really did well today? And he'll tell me, I did this, I did this, I did this. I said, what are the three things you need to work on today? He goes, ooh,
Oof.
ooh. I said, well, that's the way I want you to look at it. I said, you're getting a little bit older. He had a bad tournament a couple of weeks ago, and he was moody and broody and all of that. So I said, come on.
Mhm.
I said, let's go to the gym. He's like, I don't want to go to the gym. I said, come on anyway. So he went after a little hemming and hawing, and midway through he goes, oh. I said, well, you're taking it out on the weights. You didn't have such a good day for a good tournament, but that's got to
Right.
come from you now. If you want to do this again, it's got to come from you. You got to say to me, let's go hit the gym, or I'm going to go hit the gym for a little bit, get with
Right.
buddies. I said, that's okay. That's good. I like that, by the way. I like that a lot. So you put a lot of stress on yourself, and you put a lot of stress on your body. You put a lot of stress on your emotions and so forth. Now you got a
Yeah.
world of knowledge that you can help people out, right?
Right. Yeah. That's where I took it. And I really saw the importance of fueling your body with it starts with nutrition. and to properly fuel your body. And then the exercise and the being active part of it is the second half of it. Like you cannot be active and exercise unless you are fueling your body properly. And that was a huge like eye opener compared to
Expand
like,
your mind. Yeah. Yeah.
expand it.
It's
And
kind
then
of like,
yeah,
it's like nutrient timing. And, we were
yeah,
playing with all of that stuff legally in my days in the 60s and 70s, because I'm 110 years old.
yeah.
And we were looking at that. Do you know that we're at just about our time? Do you know how
Oh my,
quick, see
good.
how quick that goes?
Time flies when you are just having fun.
Time is flying. So, yeah, we're going to have you come back on again, because we didn't hit any of the talking points that we wanted to discuss.
No, and you know what? It's all good. We got into the deep part of it, because
Yeah, we got into
the
the
later
deep
half
part of it.
comes. You gotta understand the deep part of it and where it's all coming from. And so it was some deep, dark days, but you could always fight through. And it's taught me now, especially, to be open. It taught me how to open up. And even if I'm at the grocery store and some lady is someone, even a stranger who I don't know, makes a suggestion to me, I still am like, oh, and what's your suggestion? Let me hear it. So yep, I had deep, dark days, but I opened up, and I've learned it's important to also listen to other people and what they have to say.
All right. So let me ask you one more question.
Yes.
Listening to other people, right?
Yes.
Okay. If you were to give me 3 other tidbits about life, that's number 1. I want 3 more. What would you recommend to a parent or a child? I don't know. Maybe they're
About
their
anything in life.
anything in life. What would
Anything in life.
what are your clinical pearls?
Okay,
Listening
so
to others
one,
is one. Tell me.
I love this. Okay, so number 1 was exactly what I just said, to be open to constructive criticism, or like what people, even if it's good criticism, bad criticism, whatever it is, be open, because no one is perfect. And sometimes other people see things that you do not see.
Mhm.
Exactly what happened. Another thing that I would be open to life, or be life suggestion, would definitely be number 1, to make goals. They could be short goals. They could be a small goal. It could be a big goal. It could even be a daily goal, like whatever it is. Coming from me, who is all about goal oriented, and making a goal is what really, especially during those dark times, helped me get out of those dark times, because it pushes you to get to
100%.
reach. Yeah.
100%,
So
yes.
like, even if it's something small, like at the end of this week, I want to be 5 pounds heavier. Like, when I was trying to put back on that weight.
Absolutely. That's
That
a
is what
great goal. I need to put on a little muscle.
Yeah.
And this is what I want, right?
Yep. So set your goals is definitely one of my biggest things that I still follow to this day, and every day. I have all different goals. Another thing would be oh my goodness. I mean, goals just threw me off there, and being open to people. Those are my big, all about
I
me.
need 2 more. We're not going off. If
We're
not,
not
then we
going
start
off, 'cause
making
I'm
fun
gonna
of
think
you
of
right
2
here on the
more.
podcast.
I'm going to think of 2 more right now. See, raw and live here. Put me on the spot. Don't worry. I got this.
Jersey girl, you can do it.
Jersey girls, we always got this. Set goals. Learn, I would say too, learn from your experiences and do a lot of reflecting. So even me being, obviously, I don't know if I mentioned this, I'm a teacher. Like every lesson I teach, I still, after that lesson, I sit down and I reflect on it. Every run I do, I sit down afterwards, I'll think about my run and I'll reflect on it,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's like good or bad, just for yourself and for self growth. I feel like that has helped me a lot with self growth. Just whatever it might be, whatever your job is, whatever your daily exercises are, whatever your daily activities are, no matter what it would be. I think self-reflection is very important to grow, to expand as well, to just get stronger.
Yeah.
Mentally and physically. So I do a lot of self-reflecting. And a second goal would always be, or the fourth
Uno
one,
mas.
one more. I got it. Told you I come in strong. This has been hard being a mother, and parents out there. It's hard for parents. You, as much as we love our children or whatever it might be, I'm slowly learning self-care. You need to set aside time for yourself. Which for me, sometimes it is first thing in the morning. That's why I'm up so early. I
think you're up at like 3 o'clock in the morning running.
Yeah, roughly around there. You know, I'm up before the birds.
I hear you running around the neighborhood. I'm like, is that her again? Jesus, go to bed. Anyway.
But you need some self-care time. You need some me time, whatever. Mine is definitely exercising and working out. I don't exercise to be skinny anymore. I don't exercise to whatever it might be. It's my me time. And am I always motivated to do it? No, but I know at the end of the day, this is my me time, and it's self-discipline. Even if it's, hey, I'm gonna go get my nails done for like an hour. I need me time. Set aside time for some sort of self-care, read a book, listen to a podcast.
Listen to our podcast.
Listen to our podcast.
When you're running, because you'll be motivated. Yes. You'll hear the Rocky theme in the background during this podcast. I
love the Rocky theme. Everyone needs to set aside. You definitely need some self-care time, whatever it might be. Even if it's to disconnect and watch a show on Netflix, whatever it might be, you need that time mentally for yourself.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Brianne, thank you very much for being on. Hang with me for a little bit afterwards, because we gotta get another one up and going, and we'll have a part one. We'll have a part 1 and part 2 that we'll just put out in the same week.
Yes.
All right, and we'll rock it, and we'll make sure that it's a good thing. So
it's a good one. It gets heated.
That's right. Want to thank everybody for listening. Our podcast has grown tremendously because we have incredible guests like Brianne on here today. And we talk about more than macros and micros and stuff like that. It's important, but we like to get down deep into the nitty gritty. And you all know I like to ask the really deep nitty gritty questions. So Brianne, thank you very much for being vulnerable today and answering the questions, because you just never know who's going to be listening to this. And
you never know. And I hope if someone
if she
was
can do
listening, they were open to it.
Yeah. If she can do it, I can do it, which is always a good thing. So, Bree, thank you very much for being on today. Been a pleasure. We're going to set up another one. Just hang on. Want to thank everybody for being here today. Please share this with family, friends, neighbors, and coworkers. Remember to live your best life, and we will see all of you soon. Take care.